Well, if you have listened to my first solo episode, it's been a minute since I've recorded, honestly. I took a month off. I just moved from New York to California after living in New York for 12 years. I moved back home to the suburbs to be near my family, be an auntie, and just kind of slow down, to be honest. Also, not gonna lie, was really ready for a walk-in closet again, some personal space. I mean, a two-bedroom apartment with new appliances. Need I say more? And two bathroom. Just got to add that one in there. That being said, it's been a minute since I've recorded, so am I a little rusty? Yes, because I'm also recording as a solo podcaster now. I miss Rose dearly, but I've talked about me continuing the podcast with her. I did hesitate for a minute. I think just doing it on my own felt scary. It's a different level of vulnerability being the only person in front of the mic. And I had written a lot of the outlines, and this was a passion project of mine. So, as Rose said, I do have lots of great ideas. And thankfully, my career, I've gotten to work with lots of creators and on lots of projects and just really learn about what it takes to become your own brand and how to do it in a way that you can still stay true to yourself. I've encountered lots of talented creators and strategists, account managers and producers, and I've always gravitated towards creativity. But in my line of work, have had to also balance how creative I am because when I clock in, I'm not necessarily on the creative team. I can definitely brainstorm and give ideas, but just having something that I can own, and this podcast has always been it. So I am rusty, but I am very excited. And as I round out my 20s, I will be doing a reflection series in August because that's my birthday month. And given the move, I think it's the perfect opportunity to reflect. Maybe I was inspired by a card that my best friend wrote me, gave me a nugget of inspiration, and a nugget of inspiration that also aligned perfectly with where I want to take the podcast. So that is this first episode. I will be diving into what this reflection series is, be my authentic self, and focus less on what I think people might want to hear. I mean, I obviously want to bring quality content that is intentional and that has people learning or taking something away. Me not just talking for the sake of talking, because I don't typically do that anyway in my personal life. I do try to practice and bring attention to most things that I do. And even, when I talk, not in a robotic way, but just saying things that are worth saying versus just being a voice in the room. So, this is me diving in. And the first episode of the reflection series is about comfort zones, pushing yourself out of them. Which brings me to when I first left California to go to New York. I had gone into NYU early decision. This feels like eons ago, even though it was in 2011. Aging myself slightly, but very proud. I had gone into NYU as the only out of state school I applied to. I applied there on a whim. Honestly, from the moment I read that was accepted, I was like, I gotta accept before they realize that they said this to the wrong person. Definitely have been a pessimist for a lot of my life, but things are changing because I'm growing. Very excited that I got in. Had to do some convincing, mostly from my mom, to let me go because it was not a state school. It was across the country. It was not probably the plan, but it became the plan because I just was very excited and in awe that I honestly got in. I did not have like 4.0 GPA. I did write a very compelling, honest, vulnerable essay, though, about my narcolepsy and honestly, how I overcame my narcolepsy and not letting it define me or really limit me in what I was going to do in life. A lot of that I attest to my family, my mom, especially, who I wrote about in my essay, all of my parents. I say all of them because I, I didn't grow up in a traditional family, so I have more than, two parents. They have gone through things and pushed through. My mom especially, I just always admired how she overcame any obstacles and, she was hard on me as a child looking back. I'm so grateful for it because she just was honest with me at a young age of the realities of life sometimes, and it prepared me for being able to survive New York. Don't know what I would have done without probably some of that preparation, having encountered life altering obstacles at a young age. When you have to decide, do I wallow in self pity and let myself spiral in a state of depression, or find a silver lining and pick myself up and pivot my life however I need to in order to have a fulfilled life? And luckily, my mom pushed me to do that, and I am thankful for it. All of my family who supported me through those times when I wasn't my best self. But granted, I was going through a lot and I was a hormonal teenager. So I think I kept it together, giving myself a little grace. That tangent leads me to the importance of pushing yourself out of your comfort zones at times. While it can be hard, it is so worth it. I spent a year studying abroad, and not everyone needs to push themselves out of your comfort zone. So I'm not trying to be preachy. I guess, trying to share some positive experiences. It is very easy to kind of follow that fear and the unknown, or what if this happens, or what if that happens, and oh, I'll just wait for the perfect scenario, or I'll wait till it can happen the way that I think it's going to happen. And that's perfectly fine if people make those decisions. But I guess I'm finding that the older I get, I look back at decisions that I've made when I've sometimes prematurely made them, pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and I've learned so much about myself and have had such amazing experiences that I would never like take another route. And when one door closes, another door opens. I think that's a saying. Sounds cheesy, but it's part of life. Not everything's going to go as planned, and being able to pivot and pick yourself up and pick sometimes other people up around you. I think having that solution oriented mindset, it's helped me deal with the unexpected things that are going to happen in life. It's been pretty worth it. Not pretty worth it. It's been fucking worth it for sure. I've had the coolest experiences. And everyone's in a different place in their life. Not everyone can, afford to push themselves out of their comfort zone. But you'd be surprised if you really think about it, even small ways that you can do that, like whether it's trying a new cuisine that you maybe never tried because growing up you ate very specific cuisines or foods and you weren't allowed to eat certain things. That's the beauty of adulthood, once you're on your own, you're on your own to an extent of you get to decide what you do. Yeah, you're not on the hook for doing what your parents want you to do. Like, you might feel that way, but in reality, you're an adult and you have one life to live. And how are you going to live it? Are you going to have all of these memories to look back to when you're old and gray, or even if, you go at a younger age, it's like it could be dramatic to think about, but it's worth giving it a thought. So that is my spiel on comfort zones, pushing yourself out of it. I've learned by pushing myself out of my comfort zones, I am pretty easygoing. I may not seem like that to everyone, but for the people that know me, like my best friend, she has gotten me to go to so many concerts or parties where I know literally no one, like, aside from her, and I've had such fun times, and it bonded us. So I'm a huge proponent of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I mean, I just moved back to California. I'm here for a month. It's definitely been a stressful month, just juggling, life and work and the podcast. I did take a few weeks off to reset my mind and really figure out if this is something that I wanted to continue, and I could. And the fact that I know it's bringing me out of my shell in new ways and allowing me to be vulnerable, I'm pushing myself to continue doing it because I do love doing it. It may be tiring, but what's the alternative, you know? You can be the same person your whole life, but I feel like as you grow and age, you ideally would also grow your mind and your thoughts and your experiences and maybe your perspectives, or at least that's the type of life I'm trying to live so that, I can look back and have had a bomb ass life because I manifested a ton of cool shit and I just did me. And I just like spread the positivity, rambled on sometimes when I recorded podcast episodes because I was in the mood to do that. I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone and not filtering myself, even if I think I should, because this is for me. And for those of you who are listening and resonate, you'll vibe with it. And I hope that you do. I hope that you take some nuggets of information, try to push yourself out of your comfort zone every now and then. And I'm thankful for all of you who are still listening. I will be talking about creating the life you want and highs and lows of living in New York and youthful dreams, wrapping it up with 30 and thriving. So, this is a taste of the reflection series of my 20s. Things that I've learned living in the city, living in the suburbs, and I would love to get some tips and stories of what you've learned in your 20s and how you may have pushed yourself out of your comfort zone as you entered your 30s. I'm finding that lots of growth happens, I mean, in general in life, but I just, from people that I see on my Instagram and Facebook and people that I know, I feel like I've seen this beautiful growth in women and people in general in their 30s. And it's inspiring to see people who are very well established just decide that they are going to pursue new passions and continue to grow as people. I think that we all deserve to keep growing despite the rat race that is life. And I hope to keep doing that with you listening. And I'm so glad to be back. Marco's break from editing is officially over. More social content is going to come on the podcast now that it is me. I will likely be trying to post some more pictures of my life and sharing my journey of reacclimating to the suburbs. We have a pretty sweet apartment community, so very excited to talk about all the things that I've been doing while I've been off recording since we recorded the mini series in advance of the move. I've gotten to kind of just like slow down a bit and go swimming during the day, go swimming at night in our new nice apartment, and get into my interior designer hat and mode. So very excited to get to share more of my actual life with you all as well. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.